Hello and happy Tuesday.
Guys, sorry. I blanked already. I am Courtney.
And I'm Chris. Welcome to Tuesday Talks with the Conways. And we're going to have a really good discussion. And hopefully, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to chime in. Um, this was, um, this is going to be a really fun topic. Well, not necessarily
Not
fun,
really
but
fun.
really important topic.
Yes.
So, lots of participation would definitely be helpful. And Joy, don't worry, we weren't going to leave you hanging. We were trying to tie up a few loose ends. So definitely weren't going to leave you hanging. So glad to have you, Joy and Diane. And Radina and Naomi, thank you so much. And Kay, so glad to have you all here, and so glad to have everyone on Instagram. And if we have anybody on YouTube, I'm not sure if we have anybody available on YouTube right now. YouTube is very handy because it keeps all of our lives.
Yes.
So if you want to watch one of our past lives, feel free to go onto YouTube and watch one of the previous versions of it. You can also catch the audio version of our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcasts. So feel free if you want to give us a listen while you're on a hike or walking or on your way to work. I feel free to look to listen to some of our previous comments.
Yes, we have some people that say that they listen to us on their way to work, which does make us feel good. So they are there if you
Absolutely.
need them.
Yes. So, if you have, like I said, if you have any comments, if you want to interrupt us, whether it's on topic or off topic, hi, Francis. Yes, we have somebody on YouTube. Sometimes it's hard to tell exactly. On our platform, we've got YouTube on the right, or sorry, Instagram on the right hand side. So we've got 9 people with us this time, but on our main screen, we've got 12 people with us. But I can't tell whether that what the difference is between
Mhm.
Facebook and YouTube. We kind of got them all combined. Linda from Michigan, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Glad to have you all here. If you're new, feel free to drop us a comment and let us know that you're new. We would love having new people, but we really, really, really love having our regulars that are here with us every week. And one other kind of short announcement before we really get the ball rolling and Courtney can introduce the topic. Next week, we're taking off. So we will have some other coaches do the live for us next Tuesday. But the week after
We
that,
will be back.
we will be back, same time, same place. And we've already got a couple of our the next like 3 or 4 topics lined up. So we're
New Zealand.
really excited. Ooh, we have somebody on Instagram watching from New Zealand.
Hi.
So happy to have
And we
you
have a
with
new
us.
person too.
And another new person on Instagram. So glad to have you all here. And it's always fun to. We have a couple of people from Canada. I don't know if we've had anybody from New Zealand join us, but glad to have you all here. So I'll let my lovely wife introduce our topic for this week.
Yes, tonight we are going to talk about identifying triggers and strategies on how to overcome them.
Absolutely. So this will have kind of a combination of things to talk about, but it'll be kind of one of our mental health awareness type
Mhm. Yes.
topics because those always play a really important role in your health.
Yes, when it comes to health, sometimes people kind of leave out the mental health aspect, but it is a very important, if not the most important,
Mhm.
because if that's not in check, then a lot of the other things are just not going to get where they need to be. So mental health is definitely like number one. So we do like to talk about that occasionally.
And we
Just
know that it can be difficult for some people to
Mhm.
talk about, and for us to open up about the problems we've dealt with. Hopefully, will help inspire you to talk about your problems and overcome the stigma of talking about them as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So one of the things we want to talk about is triggers. So there are some things that can kind of trigger you to either overeat or binge or get off track or want to give up. And we're going to look at things how to compensate and
Mhm.
how to plan for those. And so one of the best things you can do is try to see if you can address what causes the triggers. So you could have anxiety, you could have depression, you could have an eating disorder, or you could be bored.
I was just about literally about to say it could just be boredom.
Hmm.
Something as simple as boredom. It can be hormones. For me, it's my hormones will trigger me a lot.
Hmm.
There's lots of different things. Stress, anxiety. I think he's already mentioned that.
Hmm.
There are lots of different triggers. And like you mentioned, it's important to figure out what those triggers are.
Hmm.
Because if you don't figure out what they are, you can't really do anything about them when they do come up. and
Mhm.
cause issues.
And then one thing for me sometimes, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, and we've talked about this multiple times also, depriving myself. So if I've gone through and had too little to eat or deprive myself of some of the things that I like, I have a tendency to binge or overeat, just
Mhm.
kind of if I starve myself, I'm more apt to go in the kitchen and just eat everything I can get my hands on, and that's just not really
Mhm.
a good way. So really, to help with that is to give yourself what you want, but also along with what you need, and also spread what you eat out throughout the day. We've talked about how your metabolism is like a little fire; it needs to be stoked a little bit throughout the day. You can't let it go out, and you can also just dump a whole bunch of stuff on it either. So
Mhm.
eating your meals and your snacks regularly throughout the day will help you from being too ravenous and then overeating, just like you don't want to go to the grocery store hungry.
Yes,
It'd be
absolutely.
very dangerous.
Yes. But also with that, another trigger that we talked about is, depression, anxiety, those things. But those cause issues not just with when it comes to eating, it can cause you to overeat or even undereat. But it can also cause you to not want to do anything like exercise or just not track or
Mhm,
literally not do anything you were supposed to do. So when it comes to especially the mental health aspect of it and those triggers like depression, anxiety, stress, it's also important to see what triggers those if something does trigger, if something
mhm,
triggers your anxiety, if something triggers your stress, figuring out what it could be that could cause the overeating or undereating from those things. Things like therapy, things like medication,
mhm,
things like just having an accountability partner you can talk to about
mhm,
can help you to overcome those. And I know some things like depression, anxiety, they're not just so easy. I struggle with anxiety big time.
mhm,
So I definitely know my anxiety shows up in two different ways. I overeat or I undereat. Um, and sometimes the undereating can be worse than the overeating
mhm,
because I'm not eating enough. So definitely finding out what those triggers are and figuring out how. And like I haven't found much that helps my anxiety other than just talking to him about it. But I have found things to help me when it comes to the overeating and undereating. And we will talk about some of that later. Like I said, just figuring out those triggers and what does make you want to overeat, undereat,
mhm.
not work out, not do the things you're supposed to do because you are just feeling so down.
Hi, Julie. Welcome. She's also joining us on YouTube. Kind of along that line, if you need to, don't be afraid or ashamed to seek help when it comes to eating disorders, depression, anxiety, those types of things. There's nothing wrong with going and seeking a little
Mm,
bit of help. Whether you just need to talk to somebody, so you could talk to a therapist or talk to your partner or your friend, or if you need medication. Growing up, I always felt like I was less than if I needed medication
mhm.
for anything. So you don't. Medication is there for a reason. So seek help, but ultimately build yourself a community with people that will support you and love you no matter what, and that brings positivity in your life. I know when you're surrounded by negative things, you watch a little bit too much of the news of what's going on. It can be really easy to get depressed. So surround yourself with people that love you and that support you and are positive, and
Yes.
that'll kind of be helpful too.
Yes, and another thing I talked about earlier was hormones. When I'm hormonal, I want to eat everything. Everything, everything, everything. And like sometimes I will literally hide in the kitchen from him and I will eat. So there are times that like I have to just walk away and be like, look, I'm not going in the kitchen again tonight. If I need anything, if I need water, if I need anything, you're gonna have to get it for me. I'm
Mm.
not going in the kitchen tonight. So that's one thing that I've done to kind of help myself to set myself up for success is just not going around the temptations.
Someone on Instagram, you wanted to read that?
Yes, sorry. Someone on Instagram said, I struggle with anxiety. Two, I got into doing breath work, which my doctor recommended, and I go for a walk either by myself or a friend. It helps, but you need to be with others to help you through it. Absolutely. When it comes to anxiety, being around others does help.
It's
Talking
just that
it
she
through
loves
does
you.
help. Oh, I love you too. Being around others does help and talking it out does help. And along with that, one thing that I have found that does help my anxiety and my stress is working out. That is one thing that I have found that does help me to not want to binge. I do have binge eating disorder. That's one of the eating disorders that can cause triggers. But they definitely working out, moving my body, walking, talking it out definitely does help me to not feel the need to binge
And those
when I do
breathing
have a
exercises
trigger.
are really good too.
Absolutely. I think actually on the Apple Watch, there's like a whole breathing,
Hmm.
like meditation thing that will help.
Absolutely. So those types of things really help.
Thank
For
you.
me, it's a little bit more of the I have a little bit more of the opposite. I have the depression where I don't want to get out. I don't want to go do something, and that can be really really difficult sometimes. And what I find, and for her, the anxiety going out to work out really helps her. If I can get myself motivated to go do an exercise, to go walk, especially outside when the weather's beautiful, that does help, but I just have to get that. I have to push myself over the
Mhm.
hill. So sometimes I might get Courtney to give me motivation because those endorphins that you get, the rush of hormones that go through you when you're working out, does have kind of a happy effect to kind of help counteract some of the issues with depression. You
Yes.
just have to get through that hump.
Mhm. And sometimes it's just where you're comfortable. Like if you're used to feeling a certain way or doing a certain thing or reacting a certain way, that's just what's become comfortable. That's what's become normal. And it's hard
Mhm.
to get out of that. So just it sometimes it just takes one time to just be like, nope, not gonna do it. I'm not gonna overeat today because I'm stressed. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. Sometimes it just takes one time to prove to yourself, hey, I can do this.
Mhm.
And then the next time might be a little bit easier. But even when it is hard, just remind yourself, I've done this before. I have people around me that support me and it's going to be okay.
Somebody else here mentions they get out of the office and go for a walk. Just sometimes just removing yourself wherever you're at, whether you're inside, go outside. If you're outside, go inside, changing your environment. But any activity definitely helps. And Linda also struggles with anxiety, and
Mhm.
working out and walking a lot helps. Really, it really, really does. And if I can get the motivation to get out when I have some depression issues, it really does help. And then sometimes my reason for going to the gym is just to support Courtney. Within once I'm there and I get moving and that I get my heart rate moving, and after the after effects really helps. So if you need that sometimes, get them find the motivation to go when you don't want to go, and then that in itself will also help
Mhm.
get you through that kind of hump and feel
Yes.
better afterwards.
And remember, I say this all the time, trying is better than nothing. If you try, like if you're
Mhm.
having a depressed moment and you try to get up and go to the gym or you try to get up and eat healthy, you try to get up and track and you just don't make it, but you tried. You legitimately tried. That is better than nothing.
Mhm.
Like baby steps. Just take those baby steps. And eventually you're gonna get there.
Mhm. Like if you struggle to get out of the bed, um, don't force yourself to go to the gym if you don't even want to get out of bed. Just get out of bed.
Mhm.
Pick up a couple clothes, do just a few minutes of chores, getting up and getting out. That will
Mhm.
get you out of the bed, and that will get you motivated to do other things. So take those baby steps. Get up, put a couple of pieces of trash in the trash can, some clothes in the laundry bin, lay it back down, and then get up and do something else. And maybe go outside and walk around the street. You don't even have to
Mhm.
go around the block. Just get up and walk around the street. We have a cul-de-sac, so it's easy to get to
Mhm.
walk around there, and then maybe go for a longer walk or go to the gym. So sometimes just those first initial steps of getting out of bed and having the motivation can be a struggle sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. And also just finding things to do that like if you're feeling like I'm gonna have a moment where I'm gonna binge, I'm gonna have a moment where I'm gonna overeat or undereat, find the things that will help you. For me, when I'm hormonal and I just want to binge on everything, I have healthier options. I make sure I go to the store.
Hmm.
If I know it's about to be that time of the month, I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna get all the healthier options that I know I can have and have a lot of those volume things like popcorn
Hmm.
or some sort of sugar-free pudding or like something that I can have a lot of.
Hmm.
So I know I'm not gonna go overboard. Same thing with under eating. Find something that has higher calories. If you know, like if I'm having one of my like stressful moments where I don't want to eat anything, I will find the highest calorie thing. And I know I'm not saying like
Hmm.
this is not something you should do every day. I will find like whenever I'm stressed and can't eat, the one thing I can eat is dessert. So I tell myself it's better for me to have this big cinnamon roll than to have nothing at all.
Hmm.
So just take those little wins. If your win is having a cinnamon roll when you are feeling so just like anxious and nauseous that you do not feel like eating anything, eat the cinnamon roll.
Hmm.
If you're feeling like eating everything in the world, eat the popcorn, eat the
Yogurt bowls,
mhm.
the sugar-free
Find those
puddings.
find those higher volume things. It'll make you feel like you're eating more,
Mhm.
and it'll I promise you, it's gonna help those binge moments.
Hi, mom. Mom just joined us on Facebook. But yes, so whatever is your issue, if you are not eating, the cinnamon roll is better than not eating at all because your body does need fuel. It needs
Mhm.
calories. You don't want to get stuck into a spiral. You don't eat, then you have no energy, then you won't go do anything. You won't continue. You won't eat anything else after that. So make sure you eat something. But if your issue is with overeating, make sure you have access to those healthier items. Know what you will
Mhm.
enjoy, but what can also be better for you. So those things.
And pre-portion those things that might trigger
Yes.
you to binge.
Mhm. So when we are doing better with our issues, we tend to have some of the things that we like a little bit more in the house. But if we know we're going through kind of a rough patch where we're struggling a little bit, we will not have icing in the house.
No, because I will literally sit there and eat a whole entire container of icing. I'm frosting, whatever you want to call it. I'm
Mhm,
not even exaggerating. I will eat the whole entire container
mhm.
before he's even had a chance to come in there and catch me.
Yeah, and for me, it's chips. So if I'm struggling and I'm going through a rough patch, I won't have any bags of chips in the house because I will eat, 1,200 calories or more in chips. And then, oh yes, so on Instagram, somebody mentioned they have been obsessed with yogurt bowls and found that they really enjoy them as a later afternoon snack. This feels a little treat.
I actually eat mine as a dessert at night.
Mm,
Like, I am a late night snacker, and by
me
late
too,
night, I mean, like, 7:30, 8 o'clock, because
because they go to bed early.
we eat dinner really, really early, like
Yes.
3:30, 4 o'clock. But it's my dessert almost every night is a yogurt bowl, and it feels like a dessert. You're right, it feels like a treat, but it's you're right, it's full of protein, full of fiber, delicious, and it gets me through the night, and it makes me feel
Mhm.
like I'm having something way unhealthy, and I'm not.
She does the yogurt with the blended up cottage cheese with some sugar-free Jello, and then she'll sprinkle some M&Ms or Reese's Pieces on top.
Mhm.
So a lot of those are really really awesome to be able to have, and it makes you feel like you're having a cheat when you're not really having a cheat. And that's what we're talking about,
Mhm.
having what you want with what you need. So you've got a sweet tooth, make those yogurt bowls, and they can be sweet, and then you can top them with something like that.
Yes. And another thing when it comes to these triggers is we mentioned therapy, like
Hmm.
finding your own form of therapy. I mean, therapy is great. Like we mentioned, go to therapy if you need therapy. But when I say find your own form of therapy, I mean like working out can be your therapy.
Hmm.
Um, I shouldn't tell you to go shopping, but shopping can be your therapy. Like find your own
Within
form of
reason.
yes, find your own form of therapy that works for you. Reading a book, like grab a book and read a book. Binge watch your favorite TV show. Like find whatever that is that makes you happy, that helps you when you are feeling triggered, when you're feeling like having a binge, when you're feeling like you just can't do it. Um, find that form of therapy because there's something that helps you. Like I mentioned, when I'm feeling anxious and stressed, working out. I still cannot believe I am the type of person that says that they enjoy working out, but it really does help. Like it gets my mind
Hmm.
off of things and it really does help. Find your form of therapy. And like we did mention, if you do need to go to therapy, absolutely
Hmm.
100% go. Like there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever.
Hmm. And then for me, sometimes that's an issue of boredom. When we talked about finding things that can keep you moving. For me, I like to have things in my hand, so I 3D print things. I have like fidget things, so anything that I can do to keep my fingers and my
Mhm.
hands active. That also helps with the tendency to scroll on social media on my phone. If I find myself scrolling without even having any kind
Realizing.
of
Mhm.
direction. I'll have my phone out and open on Facebook or Instagram without even realizing. I'll just pick up my phone, and the next thing I know, I'm my third reel through, and that can be kind of an issue, and that can also set you down a rabbit hole. So
Mhm.
I like to have things in my hands to fidget with.
Yes. And Joy on Facebook said hula hooping is her way to decompress. Yes, find whatever way you can. Because when you are triggered, when you do feel that binge coming on, when you do feel that need to undereat, if you know what helps you, you already have your go to, and you can just be like, okay, time to hula hoop, time to go walk, time to go read, whatever it is.
Mhm. And then on Instagram, somebody mentioned finding those healthier options with the chips, like making kale chips, homemade sweet potato and beetroot chips. Um, Air fryer is amazing, and
Mhm.
she likes to listen to a loud music and clean. Cleaning definitely can help.
Yes, except for me, if I'm like cleaning without like he knows I'm probably mad. If I go and I like just start cleaning, unless it's like, just my normal daily
We
routine
call it
stuff.
rage cleaning.
We call it rage
We
cleaning.
both do it sometimes,
Yes,
which
but like he can tell if he's made me mad or if I'm just mad from the day, he can tell it because that's the one time like I legitimately want to clean is when I'm mad. So he can tell like if I'm in there like scrubbing something down, he's like, "Oh, somebody made Courtney mad."
but it's
So
healthy and it's productive.
yes. And it really does help. So that's
Mhm.
that's that's what I mean. Like finding those things that help your triggers, whatever your trigger is. If you're mad and you need something to help with that, find what helps.
Yes, and somebody on Instagram also mentioned walking in place during TV
Mhm.
commercials.
Yes.
Mhm,
And also one thing though, I can't remember if I mentioned this, it's not a one size fits all thing. What
mhm,
helps me might not help you. What helps Chris might not help me.
mhm,
So if we're mentioning something and you're just like, I don't like that, or I don't want to do that, that's
mhm,
okay. It is not a one size fit all. Find what works for you. And sometimes it takes some trial and error.
mhm,
Like at the gym. I do not like the stair stepper. I tried it. I don't like it. He loved it for a while.
mhm,
So find what works for you to help you stress it because it's got to be something you love. It's got to
mhm.
be something you enjoy, or else it's not going to help in those times that you're feeling triggered. So definitely try to find something that you love and enjoy.
Absolutely, and Linda mentioned some adult coloring.
His
The
mom does that.
My mom does that, but those pieces or those coloring books are so intricate sometimes. So I mean, you can get lost in adult
Oh yeah.
coloring just like you can in a movie or reading a book because you can it gets so detailed. Catherine loves drawing
Hmm.
and coloring a lot. So I'm hoping that maybe as she gets older, she'll get into those adult coloring books because they can be so fascinating sometimes. Mm. Joy had a rough day at work on Facebook, and she mentioned wanting to come home and do hula hoop invent, and that was really good to be able to seek those healthy things to kind of get away from the stressful thing. And
Hmm.
I'm sorry you had a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never like having those kinds of days, and especially in front of your boss. So sorry you had that bad day, but I'm glad that you used that moment to seek out something, um, and make it productive.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Let's
But yes, just to reiterate, if you are having any sort of issues, problems, mental health, anything like that, it is okay to seek help. It's okay to seek medication. It's okay to seek therapy. Don't feel like you're alone and don't feel like you have to do it alone.
mhm,
Like we mentioned, like one thing that we really want to speak about like is mental health and how it does matter. So it is okay. Like he mentioned before, like we used to think it was not okay
mhm,
to seek help, get medication, but it is. It's okay. So if at the end of the day something you need, like nothing you're trying is helping, nothing is helping, get the help you need, get the therapy, get the medication, get whatever.
mhm.
It's okay.
Absolutely. And then another thing, the last thing we kind of wanted to talk about is whether you have a tendency to overeat or binge or
Oh yeah,
undereat.
I did forget that
We
part.
want to make sure that the best way to deal with that is to also track. Make sure you
Hmm.
track to make sure you're eating enough, you're not eating too much, and an honest track. If you go and eat a whole cinnamon roll, make sure you track that,
Hmm.
and then try to see if you can plan accordingly the rest of the day. And if you can't, and you don't quite have what we call a green dot, where you're a little off, it's okay.
Yes, and
But track.
and don't throw in the towel just because you did have a moment of binging because of something that triggered you, or don't feel like you have. If you underate, don't feel like you have to like
Don't
make
compensate.
yourself sick the rest of the day
Hmm.
to make up for it. Like, it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. If you overate, underate, whatever, tomorrow's a new day. But like you said, tracking really does help, especially for me on those days I do undereat because I'm just so stressed out. I do like to track so I can at least see like I'm within a healthy amount of calories for the day.
Hmm. And Andrea on Instagram mentioned reach out to someone. You matter. You are loved, and you got this. Absolutely
Yes.
love when other people are encouraging other people, and we love getting that encouragement. We love giving that encouragement too. So just remember that we care about you and we want you to succeed. Andrea and this whole community wants you to succeed. I think that's one of my favorite things about the weight loss community in general is it's one of the most supportive kind of communities that you can have out there. So
Mhm.
yes, make sure you reach out to somebody and remember that there's always somebody out there that loves you and cares about you. And depend on you.
And also that you're probably not the only one feeling the way you're feeling. Sometimes it feels so isolating and alone,
Mhm.
but you are not alone.
Absolutely. So let's I know this has been kind of a deep and
Mhm.
not very easy conversation, but it's a really important one that we want to focus on as often as we need and as often as you need. So we wanted to make sure that we were able to do that. So next, let's go on to our recipe. I do
Yes.
need to switch out the recipe. So when I so
He
this
tends to forget
I
this.
do forget. So I'm going to switch this out. This is the last week's recipe. Um, one of the reasons why is when I log into the platform, if I don't do something right away, it logs me out. So then I have to re-log in. So let me, come on, let's upload to the new one. There we go.
Yay.
So Courtney will
Okay.
talk about this recipe.
This is a chicken and rice. This is one of those like no peak, like everything's done in the oven, super, super quick to throw together. You make 6 servings. You need 2 cups of jasmine rice, but make sure it's the minute rice. It does not say that on there. It probably should. But make sure it's the minute rice. It cannot be normal, regular rice. Well, it can be, but you have to cook it a little bit before you put it in this recipe. So the minute rice. A can of fat-free cream of mushroom soup. I think it's like 98% fat-free. A can of 98% fat-free cream of chicken soup. 10 ounces of water, which is basically the equivalent of one of those cans. 1.5 pounds of chicken breast and a pouch of onion soup mix. So preheat the oven to 350. In a bowl, mix together the uncooked rice, the can of soup, and water. And add it to a grease. Make sure you grease that bad boy real good. Grease 9 by 13 baking dish. Put the chicken breast on top of the rice mixture and sprinkle the onion soup mix on top. Cover it tightly. Make sure it's real tight with foil and cook for about 1.5 hours or until the chicken is cooked through and tender. But the rice will need at least an hour to cook.
Mhm.
So just keep that in mind. And that's it. It's done. It makes 6 servings. You can also add, I've heard people adding like broccoli to this or zucchini, anything like that.
Peas, carrots.
Yep. So you can add whatever vegetables you want to add more fiber, just make it heartier. It might even make a few extra servings if you do that. But this is between 5 and 6 bites, 26.4 net carbs. Says 19.5 grams of protein, but I think it's a little bit more. I
Mhm.
will have to look, but it's very, very reasonable for a serving of something delicious.
And who doesn't like something that you can just dump all in a pan and then throw in the oven and then it's pretty much done?
Yes. And I mean, it comes together in like 30 seconds and then boom, in the oven. And then you don't even have to worry about it. You don't peek at it. Don't open it. I mean, you can
You
open
don't
it
want
to
to let
check
the
the
you
temperature.
don't really want to let the steam out too much because that's what helps
That's what
cook
helps
the
cook the rice.
rice.
But yes, and I do want to reiterate, and I'll try to remember to comment on the post tomorrow. It has to be the minute rice.
Mhm. You can also put something like this in a pressure cooker. You might have to
Yes,
tweak some of this stuff, but
that's true. You could
lots
do
of
for
lots of
sure.
really neat ways of making this. But we're so glad that you joined us. Feel free to comment if you have any other topics you'd like to talk about. We do have the next couple of topics lined up, and then next week we are off, so there'll be some other coaches doing the live in our place next Tuesday. But the following week we'll be back. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.